My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system, which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. This is indeed P.O.C. License 9 ROC 508 is a demon and they're engaged in stalking. This is called psychopathic pacing, and that's light activity. That's a third party. Okay? This is downtown Ontario luxury apartments, and I have this same crime scene not only in the beginning of the day, for example 7-8 o'clock in the morning, but also at the end of the day, 5 o'clock 6 o'clock in the evening, where this fake sun is remaining over me, which is speaking to Sarah's Regis group that's engaged in the criminal conspiracy to commit murder, the corporate entity, the city of Ontario, Ontario Town Square, the state actor that's engaged in the criminal conspiracy to commit murder by virtue of the venue that is there. For the people of the state to be present, engaging criminal presence in the path, that is stalking with the military that just hovered right here, where there are no planes taking off, not coincidentally with the people of the state who are under a fake sun, who are the Nephilim, not humans, engaging in stalking in an environment that is conducive to their surveillance, which is the criminal conduct, the system whereby the entity is engaging in surveillance. Serial stalker, this is an old white male at the OVITT Family Community Library, 19662 Edward. This is the pattern of conduct. This OVITT Family Community Library, that is gang stalking, okay? This is P.O.C. These are the gang stalkers of what is the fake churches that are engaging in that pattern of conduct. As you're engaging in that, engaging in any form of harassment, criminal defamation, like what is happening at Rock of Faith, and the entities engaged in what is gang stalking. And I'm referring to this homeless demon that's engaged in the pattern of conduct at another facilitating venue where the military is stalking me at the fake church. This is speaking to the entity. These are not strangers. This is the entity that is stalking, and the military is what's tying all of that together. The military that are stalking in commercial airline companies, planes that are being lent to the government, and that is removing the people of the state from the protections under the Constitution as being individuals or maintaining a legitimate private company. They are all third parties. They are the people of the state. They are vicariously acting as state actors, and they will be prosecuted accordingly. Metro 102, the downtown Ontario luxury apartments, the Ontario Town Square, the City Center senior citizen apartment complex, they're all engaged in stalking together while this fake sun remains over me, where the vagina monitors, the stalkers of the Ontario police, are being disbanded. All right, this is the entity keeping a fake sun. Remember, at 1:45 in the afternoon, I'm documenting Joy, who's under the fake sun. And this is also speaking to the entity that has not thought very well about how they're going to shield themselves from a prosecution. They're not. That's United Airlines that is stalking. The prosecution of the airline industry. And what, by the way, where you are stalking at Rock of Faith at 325 B Street and then engaging in what is stalk manner with the same elevation, that's audible activity coming out of the mouth of a terrorist. They're engaging in what is hovering in the same manner over the Rock of Faith Church at what is 4 in the evening. This is an entity that's engaging in that, and everything that's coming out of the mouth of a third party is one that's coming out of the mouth of a stalker, and they will be committed and also subject to federal prison for that. The military is literally stalking, and you're listening to a third party engage in that while you are stalking in the path under a fake sun. All right, that's the P.O.C. This is OVITT Family Community Library. That's a demon that's waiting in the path, crossing path with a communication device, children in tow. All right, and he's already going to prison. So that's the pattern of conduct. Engaging in what is harassment, it's already a matter of video documentation. This is OVITT Family Community Library where all the employees are going to prison. All right, this is the Civic Center and the entities engaging. There's no terminal where United Airlines, UPS, Southwest, none of them have any terminals where they're hovering over, flying beside the apartment complex, flying over the library, flying through the walkway where the city, this is all, and it's also not a matter of what are published flights. And as a matter of what is judicially noticed, the sun is not going to rise and set at one location, like what I'm documenting pursuant to Wells Fargo gang stalking, Sarah's Regis group gang stalking, related companies gang stalking, the City of Ontario, the Ontario City Hall, that's Paul Leon, the Ontario City Council gang stalking, Mule Cart Smokehouse, Metro 102, all these corporate actors that are being prosecuted while the military is showing you that ongoing pattern of conduct that is committed in concert with that entity. And this is the Nephilim. This is P.O.C. Okay? It is currently 1:34 p.m. The entity covering up the fake sun is the evidence of what is nonetheless a fake sun. And the entity is engaged in what is harassment while you're documenting. The entity is engaged in what is speaking to the federal judge, speaking to what is the application of federal law. License plate 9 ROC 508. You saw her on camera. She's a psycho sitting there stalking in the path. That's the basis of what is being committed and being subject to prison. All right. She's documented and she sits there, engages in more of that pattern of conduct, and she's pacing, stalking me and doing so. This is what Joy is doing inside of the Upland Public Library, where the fake sun sits over that building. The fake sun that would never simultaneously be over me at the Upland Public Library, where it remained yesterday for United Airlines to gang stalk me under it at the 215 East C Street OVITT Family Community Library, where gang stalkers are speaking any means of harassment, speaking at all, is a threat. Okay, and that's the entity that's engaged in it. That's the homeless demon who goes inside of the library, still engaged in the pattern of conduct, and they're going to prison. This is the P.O.C. License plate 9NJJ963, the same entity. Stalking with the airline industry. All of this is the U.S. military's P.O.C. The U.S. military, those are the demons that are engaging in the pattern of conduct, which is going to result in what are involuntary commitments. And the Ontario police are stalking and facilitating this gang violence in the city of Ontario. That's the P.O.C. It is currently 1:36 p.m. where the evidence already shows the fake sun rise and set right here at this address. P.O.C. It's 1:36 p.m. The entity that's stalking and then monitoring with the people in the state with regard to what's impacting the internet access. City of Ontario is engaged in federal stalking. That is, again, another basis of prosecuting Polygon in the municipality. Stalking on the roads and the highways, pacing, just like you see the female in the video. She's a psychopath, knows that she was documented, so she sits there again to get another opportunity to drive around in a circle. That's the demon that is, for example, stalking in a helicopter, flying in circles over and over and over again, which is also what this entity is doing while they are engaging in federal stalking, which is the entity that is stalking as one under a fake sun are engaged in federal stalking. This is Ontario Wi-Fi that is not experiencing actual malfunction. This is an entity that is blocking the ability to connect to the internet, and doing so while the entity is doing exactly what you just saw, hovering with planes over the senior citizen complex. Has nothing to do with flights that are taken off from the airport headed to a destination. There are no passengers on that plane. There are no planes that are going to hover over the city hall and the related company's senior citizen complex. This is where the people of the state are doing so under the fake sun. This is the P.O.C. with regard to what is being scared to death while you are the one that thought you were going to gang stalk me into a mental facility, and the mentally ill that are gang stalking are the ones that are going to be committed. And the ones that are going to prison are inside of the OVITT Family Community Library, which is the federal government's securing a criminal case against every single last employee of the OVITT Family Community Library. By the way, they're all going to prison while the entity is focused on one little thing, and that's because the entity does not have any perspective or strategy for being proven as a stalker. And so the entity is engaged in what is gang stalking online. So what you see here with regard to the Wi-Fi signal, this is the entity that's engaged in that, and I'll also show you on this phone as well. No Wi-Fi, I'm connected. The password is fine, but the entity is engaged in it. And as I move my phone, as I document, the helicopter activity will start to sound. The entity's been doing this for about 10 minutes. So I already cleared out the cookies and restarted the phone. I did all that. And the entity is blocking because they're scared about, again, over 10,000 videos, and this is going on the internet. The podcast is getting published, and this is the entity that is stalking. Okay, this is P.O.C. I'll show you where they're focusing their flights and doing so pursuant to what is monitoring online under the fake sun. And I'll show you where they're stalking right here, where the fake sun is over me. I'm sitting on the side of the OVITT Family Community Library, and this is the fake sun that is over me right here at the OVITT Family Community Library. In the video that I captured, this is the fake sun that's right here where I'm at right now, and this is where it remains. This is where the entity is stalking. And you know that the fake sun is at this venue as I'm documenting the same pattern of conduct in the morning. Okay, but this is the entity that's engaged in this while the evidence is being published. In the process of publishing the fact that the government is a stalker and a co-conspirator of my murder, that is terrorism committed by the state of California, the governor, all the mayors, all the police departments, all the sheriff's departments, all of the courthouses that are sharing in the pattern of conduct, the entity that is a psychopath engages in the video evidence, the ongoing podcast evidence that I've already captured. The entity starts flying in circles in helicopters incessantly as I publish, as I prepare my evidence to publish it, while you are the stalker that gave me the evidence in the first place. This is the Nephilim, okay? This is the P.O.C. Joy is going to prison. This is the disservice that you are providing to your own co-defendants when you first intend to gang stalk somebody that's here to prosecute you, who you were never going to have locked up in a facility. And every facility that the entity kidnapped me in is being shut down, and they're going to be vacated because they're going to prison. That's what was the purpose of you being permitted to kidnap me for any amount of time. This is the entity that is absurdly psychotic. Absurdly. This is the entity that's scared to death, and understand that they are severely mentally ill while they're stalking, but then they're scared when it's going to be put on the internet, on the internet that you're stalking. This is pacing. All right, this is the entity, and that's the gang stalker that's frequenting Upland Public Library, and she's stalking now. I am the obsession. They're doing so. That's stalking. Stalking in the C Street turn circle. They're all pacing right now. An entity is accomplishing this by flying in circles by helicopter. They're all under the fake sun, pacing all around me, and they're also all inside of the Ontario OVITT Family Community Library, and the employees are going to prison. There's no sun that's over me in a natural environment. The Ontario police are on video stalking at 10:29 in the morning at this time of year in 2022. The entity is stalking a United Airlines, Southwest Airlines planes right now and by helicopter, and that video is captured at 1 in the afternoon. That's a prosecution right there. When you are looking at the environment where surveillance is underway by the Nephilim that make up the military that is being permanently discharged from any further services, which has been terrorism the entire time. This is the P.O.C. All right, and the entity that is stalking is indeed monitoring on the internet. The city of Ontario is being federally prosecuted. You're prosecuting a city that's engaging in surveillance and furtherance of murder by subjecting that city to martial law. Okay, this is criminal conduct. So what you've seen Eddie engage in, Eddie's going to prison, engaging in stalking just like this, conspicuous surveillance with the government, doing so in your face, which is an unlawful threat. And while I'm documenting Eddie, you're talking about what is, just using Eddie as an example, Eddie is going to federal prison for serial stalking. In other words, sitting here engaging in surveillance multiple times. Every week, I'm looking at you every day, gang stalking, you're engaging in terrorism with the military. You're going to prison for engaging in that conduct, that absurdly, overtly criminal activity, which is psychopathic. All right, this is what an entity is doing while you're inside of the OVITT Family Community Library. Joy's going to prison. What is she walking on while she's walking back and forth from her office to the reference desk? That's light on the floor, right? That's supposed to be sunlight. How is that when it's over me and it remains over me at that venue? How is that? Joy is psychotic. That's how you know about the significance of that environment. Joy is a stalker, just like this one is. And this is the entity that's putting itself in the facilities where they belong. What are they driving under? They're stalkers, and they are all united in that stalking. And what are you accomplishing when you're stalking by helicopter, other than having yourself being put in a facility based on your certifiable behavior? Pacing in helicopters and in planes is what they're doing in the sky space. Those are the vagina monitors, the homosexuals that consume babies, all right, that kidnap and traffic children, and then think you're going to gang stalk a grown one into any sort of facility or defame my character. When they smell of feces on their breath, they're psychotic, they're gang stalking. They were never fit to engage in what is defaming any person. This was requiring rampant corruption, which is what I have proven through the pattern of conduct, this body of evidence. This is P.O.C. It's 2:19 p.m. The entity is filled with the patrons inside of OVITT. They're all serving to put the employees in prison. Just like the demons in the Upland Public Library, the employees are going to prison. All right, the entities engage in this while the one-track mind of a demon that cannot keep up, even when you have thousands of them, you remain what are a high number of numbskulls who are inferior to me. You are literally inferior, which is why you pull out a helicopter when you're scared about what I just got on video, which you gave to me. These ignoramuses are being locked up. This is the P.O.C. This is the entity that's monitoring evidence. It's Title 18 federal stalking under 22618 subsections 1 and 2, committed with a criminal purpose to obstruct justice. Okay, not only are they engaged in the elements of monitoring, the entities also engage in psychological torture. While you document and publish, then you're being targeted and harassed and tormented with the sound of the helicopter. The helicopters that are attributed when the stalkers of that city police, they arrive whenever you hear that helicopter, and they start making false allegations, and then they kidnap you, and then they put you in the war. All of that is relevant to the entity stalking. And they are putting themselves away, just like I said. I am the leader. They are stalking me, and the leader is having this entire entity subject to a federal prosecution. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 2:20 p.m. at the OVITT Family Community Library. All right, this is video evidence of the people of the state who are engaged in the crime of stalking. Stalking, which is committed in furtherance of murder for the criminal objective to accomplish what is a conspiracy to murder. And this is the U.S. military. The sound of that motorcycle, which is pursuant to stalking, is concerted with the stalking conduct by the people. And this is one entity that's pacing one vehicle after another. 79249 Bob 3 is a psychopath. And they are diagnosable by their pattern of conduct. This is under the fake sun. This is the entity that's engaged in this, and you'll recall the psychopaths that are stalking at the same exact location during the 8 a.m. hour, where the psychopath in the white pickup truck is stalking just like the psychopaths in the Ontario police vehicle number 119. If you'll recall my evidence, it was during the 8 a.m. hour, and I stood at the same exact location where conspicuous surveillance shall be prosecuted, where the U.S. military, who are stalking from city to city throughout the state of California, in concert, in other words, with the state of California, the people of the state, who do not have any sort of private identity. There is no privacy amongst the public entity that is engaging in the pattern of conduct. There is no police department that is stalking, and that's exactly what science proves. That's exactly what the pattern of conduct proves under the fake sun, where vehicle number 119 is crossing path like the people of the state are on behalf of the military, maintaining surveillance, and these are all demons. And this is the evidence for you to know that under no circumstances in the natural environment, daylight savings time or not. By the way, daylight savings time is serving for the illusion created by this nation that's engaging in surveillance of everyone everywhere through those who are demons. Okay, this is called crossing a path. It's called light activity when you are moving. Okay, the honking of the horn is a demon that's monitoring me. License 9 ERF 739 is equally mentally ill and stalking. License 9 WMU 446 is pacing, and that's the entity that's engaged in that pattern of conduct. They will be diagnosed with that evidence. That's again 9 WMU 446 exhibiting mental instability while stalking with the military. And that's in furtherance of murder. So the third party, in other words, that's engaging in yelling, just like this third party is in the vehicle. He's with his dog. He's engaging in what is harassment, just like he is at Rock of Faith. He's going to prison, okay? And the Ontario police that are stalking right here, that vehicle number 119, all right, who I also believe the evidence will confirm because I don't have it right now, but it is vehicle 119 that's also under the fake sun during the 1-2 p.m. hour at the OVITT Family Community Library with the military and a Southwest Airlines plane at that library. OVITT Family Community Library, the same 119 vehicle, 119. This is the entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct, and that gang stalking police officer, because that's not a police officer, that's a gang stalking police officer, which is a terrorist. He or she is going to prison, okay? And this is speaking to the very environment that I referred to in the morning, and this is the video evidence that's going to be juxtaposed with that. This is the pattern of conduct. The people that say are stalking as an entity, where the entity is also stalking 6NAX. 673 represents the impunity that the domestic terrorists, who are not humans, these are demons. This is exposing the Nephilim who are amongst us. In the court, this is exposing domestic terrorism in the U.S. This is exposing the treason that the people of the state and the military are engaging in, the U.S. government. And it's a matter of what is an unprecedented prosecution for terrorism in the U.S. That is what is behind United Airlines stalking and Southwest Airlines stalking while I'm walking to this library. And then you have Joy, who is diagnosable by virtue of her a malicious targeting conduct inside of the Upland Public Library yesterday afternoon, where there is no natural environment where the two are happening at the same time. And this is where the fake sun is remaining today. The fake sun is over the one that is being targeted, that is myself. And you see them going about, and the sun is not an ubiquitous object in the sky that's moving over everyone while I'm showing you it's remaining stationary. Number one. Number two, the sun is not an object that's remaining over any one place, not even over one city for the duration of the day. If that were the case, how was it ever sunny in Florida, let alone Nevada, Arizona, even in Sacramento, California, okay, where Mr. Newsom is fully known and exposed as a terrorist in the state of California. This is the P.O.C. and gang stalking police officers, just like the people of the state. Gang stalkers are going to be federally prosecuted. License plate 8A Sam Zebra 521. And these are not individuals. This is an entity. This is a pattern of conduct. They're all roaches, just pacing all around, back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. All right, the mentally ill are engaging in this while they are stalking you. And because you do so in a police vehicle, you are going to prison, and you will be subject to what are mandatory mental examinations. That's policy. That's a universal policy, and that's exactly what I documented here. That's the same agency engaging in kidnapping on behalf of the U.S. military. They're going to prison. I've been documenting that agency stalking me on the roads and the highways. I've been documenting gang stalking police departments, gang stalking me on the roads and the highways for years. And they shall be subject to federal prison. This is the P.O.C. They will produce their specific identities. All right, and they will be subject to what are mandatory mental examinations. This is diagnosing, exposing severe mental instability by those that consume the body parts of children. They consume their bodily fluids. They kidnap and steal from them. 38364 David 1. The gang stalking system, in other words, is serving for what is a criminal syndicate, an international system regarding what is the government that's engaging in terrorism around the globe with other parts of the world. and doing so with the population that are the people of the state in California, as I'm exposing it here in Southern California. All right, this is relevant to protecting children that are already dead, and this entity is a murderer, a serial killer, actually. This entity is also a sex offender. This entity is engaging in what is stalking, 9SRX 564. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 3:30 p.m. So let me give you some perspective, right? Right across this parking lot during this time of year. Ocean, Amelia, Patty, the rest of us who are at Starbucks at 7:15 in the morning. L. Edwards and that same agency commit kidnapping with the serial stalkers like this one of Starbucks. And at 7:15 in the morning, where you can see on video the entities targeting me, harassing me, and doing so under the guise of what having any sort of authority as a police department under the fake sun, where you are targeting because you are keeping my evidence, you are keeping my device, you are keeping my genitalia under surveillance. And they committed kidnapping at Starbucks, 507 North Euclid Avenue at 7:15 in the morning. July 4th at 7:15 a.m. 2025. There is no natural environment. It's 3:31 p.m. Like I stated on that day, and like I've been stating, L. Edwards, A. Quesada, and you have what is their partners that engaged in kidnapping. They're all going to prison. And their partner that was stalking me during the 8 a.m. hour days ago is going to prison. And their partners, the U.S. military, who provide me the case to prosecute them, they're going to be put in federal prison. All right. And the military have shown themselves to be terrorists, and they are not under any circumstances engaging in what they take an oath to do, which is protect American citizens. In fact, in concert with the people of the state, not individuals under the Constitution, they're engaging in what is unfathomable, unprecedented acts of terrorism, gang stalking and furtherance of murder. And they're gang stalking me as a child that was subject to this child trafficking system that the U.S. military is engaging with those who are celebrities who are going to prison, those who are celebrities who are going to be going to federal prison for having sex with children, for targeting them, and then for gang stalking someone like myself under the false impression, the false notion, because they're demons, that they were going to obstruct justice successfully. In fact, it shows you that the Nephilim are being celebrated as celebrities that you under no circumstances should have ever given any attention to in the first place, idolizing them. All right. This is the military who are on the payroll of celebrities, the police departments who are on the payroll of celebrities. And these little brokies don't have anything to lose. These are the worker demons. OK, they'll lose their life for the entity that cares nothing about them. They will be easily sacrificed while they are engaging in what is their duty. These are mindless, numb demons. They're the Nephilim, and they engage in the day-to-day, moment-by-moment stalking conduct. These are demons. And that's what's behind the fake sun in the window. You can see it in alignment to me. Well, L. Edwards is committing kidnapping with Starbucks. That Starbucks committing kidnapping, I'm going to prosecute them. They are being federally prosecuted. They are going to prison. All right, that's the corporate entity. Starbucks is being federally prosecuted thereby, while the entity is engaging in stalking me on the roads and the highways and is already surrounded with a body of evidence, insurmountable and irreducible in substance. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 3:33 p.m. This is confirmation regarding what is vehicle number 119 containing what is the Ontario Police Department. That officer is going to federal prison. This is P.O.C. This is P.O.C. That's a demon. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, this is the military that's stalking in planes, and that's Michael GERKEN. That is literally, look at, they're hanging out behind the gas station, just like when they're stalking me at Stater Brothers. And their purpose right now is monitoring. Michael GERKEN has been engaged in surveillance, and these are demons. They're not firefighters. These are demons. They set fires around the state, and then they put them out and put it on the news like they're heroes. They do so while Gavin Newsom also requests federal funds while they're engaging in surveillance. It has nothing to do with the fires that they're putting out, by the way. I just want to throw this in while they're gang stalking me right now because they think that they're going to stop me from using ARCO Wi-Fi while they're blocking my access to the Ontario Wi-Fi. These demons are going to prison. They committed kidnapping. You're seeing the pattern of conduct. That's why they will be subject to prison. I've already surrounded the Ontario Fire Department, which is surrounding the state of California and all fire departments in the state, as engaging in what is conspiring with the military, stalking. You've got the entity stalking my plane under the fake sun and Ontario Fire that are just chilling behind the gas station that just so happens to be where the Wi-Fi network is after the entity is blocking Ontario Wi-Fi because these cowards are fearful of everything that I'm exposing about them. Ontario Fire Department will be subject to prison, period. All right? But I just want to be clear. They set fires and they claim it's due to the climate. This is a manipulated environment. That's not the sun. And those are demons who know that it's not the sun. And under that illusion, Gavin Newsom, you're talking about defrauding the federal government. But the federal government is not a victim. The federal government is stalking me, monitoring me in furtherance of murder. But this is how this corrupt system operates. Gavin Newsom is not ignorantly reporting and requesting funds from the federal government based on manufactured and engineered emergencies where the gang stalkers are engaging in what is setting fires around the state. The people of the state are setting fires, and the gang stalkers put them out, and then they film themselves doing so and request more money from the funds on an annual basis. That's the pattern of conduct. These demons are stalkers. And Michael GERKEN, I'm going to prosecute him. He's a terrorist leader, and he's being prosecuted as a terrorist. And that's how far-reaching those vagina monitors go. Do you know how much money that's wasted right there on a fire truck for stalking? That's why it's being defunded. There will be no Ontario Fire Department. There will be nobody receiving a check for really being a stalker as opposed to being a firefighter. And that's the evidence that the U.S. military gives me, prosecuting them that are gang stalking. That's Mike LORENZ and Michael GERKEN. Those are two departments that are being defunded, and they will be shut down permanently. This is P.O.C. They literally followed me around. Remember, Ontario police are stalking on this same shoot at 8 o'clock in the morning. I will use the demons and prosecute them with each other's stalking conduct. That's also how you know that they're not doing anything other than stalking. This is the P.O.C. ARCO is monitoring while they're in surveillance around. ARCO is engaging in that pattern of conduct. There is no such thing as a failure of the internet. The entity is engaging in surveillance online. Everything that they do is teaching you how that system operates, and everything they do is going to boomerang back with regard to you are going to be committed and you're going to prison. Your family will not be receiving any 401k retirement. You're not getting a dime. They're going down and they're going to be locked away as terrorists. This is P.O.C. It's 3:39 p.m. All right, this is stalking. Let's see. The entity that is stalking every time I'm uploading something, another stalker, which is ARCO stalking and Impossible Lie. That's a demon, a white-faced demon that's engaging what is stalking with the military. 8 Uncle Henry 789 under, by the way, the 5:09 p.m. fake sun. What I published not too long ago is the gang stalking underway by ARCO that is headquartered in Los Angeles, California. No big surprise there. Los Angeles is engaged in criminal surveillance that is gang stalking. ARCO is engaged in gang stalking in the city of that gang stalker, Los Angeles, and the people of the state are gang stalking on the grounds, which is a facilitating venue. And the reason why you're able to prosecute the business as a stalker is because of the crime scene that remains over you while the gang stalkers go to the facilitating venue that is a gang stalker under the law in the city that is an established gang stalker to keep you under surveillance. And I'm referring to what is the video evidence where a demon, she was driving a black sedan, and she's engaging in this is the demon that's manifesting. She's a third-party gang stalking under the fake sun that was here, right here. It's over 5:10 p.m. and it's over me. And in the video that I'm referring to, and I'll attach it, the fake sun is rising, right in perfect alignment, and impossible light activities appearing on the cement blocks. And all the demons are stalking, filling up their gas tanks. That's the RICO case. This is the mentally ill. That's the Nephilim, okay? And that's the entity that's engaged in that. And they are severely mentally ill. While the demons, just like the living dead, the zombies, they don't stop coming. This is the entity that's going to be subject to martial law. Okay, and ARCO's going to stop because ARCO's going to be prosecuted, and the employees are subject to prison. Systematic monitoring, profiting from the pattern of conduct, and they're doing so with the entity. I've shown ARCO gang stalking me by helicopter. I've shown ARCO gang stalking me by the entity stalking with commercial planes. I've shown the ARCO engaging in criminal summoning. I've shown the entity engaging in what is gang stalking and furtherance of murder and harassment, retaliation while I document, and then the entity is engaging what is stalking at the moment that I'm engaging in what is that documentation while my device is under surveillance. P.O.C. And the people of the state are getting the people of the state locked up. The military are getting the people of the state locked up. The military, the government, the gang stalking police, the gang stalking departments, the gang stalking EMTs that are going to be committed, they're already handled. This is the prosecution of the terrorists themselves. Okay, that's the pattern of conduct. It is currently, by the way, 5:11 p.m. and you'll recall my evidence of AMR showing you that they're mentally ill while they're in Upland, California, under the fake sun, along the same street, Euclid Avenue, sounding their sirens and stalking in the path on the roads and the highways. No mentally ill demons, moreover, will be subject to any sort of position in the medical field, nor will they be outside of a mental institution, especially when I have surrounded them with the body of evidence, such as American Medical Response, while they're gang stalking right now. This is the P.O.C. Everybody in this parking lot, these vehicles are documented. These venues are documented. This is Ontario Veterinary Hospital, Chevron at 506 North Euclid Avenue, Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, ARCO at 434 North Euclid Avenue, under the fake sun. Okay, kidnapping at Starbucks on July 4, 2025, 7:15 in the morning. Fake sun. This is P.O.C. The ARCO employees are going to prison. This is relevant positioning. Okay. okay? The entities engaging UNICARE Community Health Center is not left out. They're engaged in criminal summoning. Every time that the Ontario police, those gang stalkers went to Starbucks, UNICARE Community Health Center going out of their way, pacing, going over just like you know the demons are. Oh, they're documenting all the demons are engaging in what are targeting together under the equally fake sun. This is P.O.C. It's 5:12 p.m. The entity engaging in what is profiting from the federal government's pattern of conduct. That's the entity. That's the facility. That's the venue. That is the people of the state that are being federally prosecuted, and it includes ARCO. Okay, ARCO is gang stalking while you hear demons. Okay, and this demon right here is monitoring. That's what that's about, and I'm gonna get her license plate. It's another hostile lesbian, gang stalking under a fake sun, and showing mental illness. Sane people do not want to go to federal prison. They don't. They don't want to be documented stalking, and because they're engaging in it, it's not evidence that they're innocent. It's evidence that they are severely delusional. Okay, there is no denial of that sign evidence. That's a P.O.C. Concerted conduct. The fake sun goes from that side of the gas station to this side. All right, this is another lesbian. This is a demon-possessed one. She's standing at the same position where the one at 6 o'clock in the morning is manifesting. The ongoing hostility is all over that demon's face while I'm documenting the pattern of conduct that they all share. And this is ARCO engaging in that criminal pattern of conduct. This is P.O.C. Chevron's gang stalking. The entity's been engaged in this while I'm publishing the evidence. And this is the entity that's stalking by plane. They crossed to the opposite side of the library to engage in pacing right here in the sky space, where the military are using commercial planes to engage in surveillance and thereby prosecuting through that pattern of conduct that's established. The people of the state are stalking with them. And these are the corporate entities engaging in that. That's the pattern of conduct. Currently 5:14 p.m. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, I showed you the other day the other weirdo that was stalking at 12 o'clock in the morning, doing so on behalf of the military. That's flying right over the roof of this building. These are more of the same. Demonic, desperate, developmentally challenged, lesbians, stalking. All right, doing so under the fake moon. These are the demons that, again, like I said on X, don't have any purpose. The demons are literally present to engage in stalking another person. And they're stalking where they're engaging what is targeting with the military. And they're demons that are under the fake moon. This is worship. This is the expression of what is obsession. And it is also the outward demonstration of mental illness. And that is shared by the demons that are stalking in the commercial planes. This is where the entity is stalking by helicopters. That's the pattern of conduct. And this is the mentally ill population that's engaging in stalking on behalf of the entity that's engaging in what is monitoring together. That's the pattern of conduct. These are demons that are stalking. These are, in fact, demons that are stalking. And that's pathetic. They also go into the bathroom monitoring my vagina. They want to be in my space. They want to be where I'm at. And they do this, like I stated, 24 hours a day. The other weirdo at 12 o'clock in the morning. The demons, when I'm sleeping on the bench, they want to sit right next to me while the demons are stalking in planes and helicopters. This is the entity that's going to be subject to martial law. I want to document that because that's what I'm putting on X right now. This is the P.O.C. This is the entity that's engaged in that pattern of conduct while they are monitoring with the P.O.C. This is a weirdo using a speaker. That's audible activity under the fake moon. He's going to prison. He's the one that's gang stalking at the laundromat. I'm glad. Can you spell it? Because you're going. And he's engaging in that P.O.C. He was gang stalking at El Pollo Loco, running in over there, stalking as well under the fake sun. This is the entity doing so with the military. So I hope they keep that same energy when they're being committed. I find that funny as well. This is the entity that is indeed gang stalking with the military, flying over the senior center. These are the demons that are gang stalking at Rock of Faith, gang stalking at Loaves and Fishes, gang stalking at Spin Laundry, and these are the homeless bums that are engaging in stalking on behalf of the government that don't have any other purpose. Okay, that's the P.O.C. It is currently 9:48 p.m. This is the pattern of conduct. These are all the demons that are now responding while they're gang stalking me, and they're doing so. This is a pathetic, purposeless entity that doesn't have anything to do being up and under me stalking. That's how pathetic they are. That's the P.O.C. But you will have purpose in prison, though. They'll give you stuff to do in prison. That's the P.O.C. But this is the entity, again, when they're spending millions of dollars on stalking with planes and helicopters, which is what the entity was doing right here. And then this is the entity that's also hostile while you document them stalking you. That's the entity that's mentally ill. Demons. P.O.C. Alrighty, these are the special needs that are stalking. They're going to prison. Special needs with the flashlight. These are you've seen Ontario police doing this before, by the way. You have the entity that's engaging when he's molesting with light while the demons are crossing path pacing under the fake moon and the military flying over. This is P.O.C. This is a demon. And he's walking through the civic center. Excuse me? Am I what? Who? Am I what? He already knew what I was doing. This is a demon. What's your name? What's your name? Valdez? You don't have a vehicle? Are you looking for something, officer? Yeah, he's stalking though. That's what he's doing. They're all going to prison. They're all going to prison. Okay? That's the demons of the Ontario. This is gang membership. The Ontario police is bearing a gun. That's a gang member. And those three, you're talking about stalking. And then you're listening to everything that they're stating while they're hostile stalkers being documented. This demon commits a sex offense, molesting with light while stalking with the people of the state and the U.S. military that's connecting all of that pattern of conduct together. Walking down the alleyway, stalking as an entity. Mike LORENZ is going to prison. You're going to prison. I told you you are. Those are all demons gang stalking together. Okay? You keep following around. It's going on the internet and you're going to be committed. That's not a threat. That's the pattern of conduct. U.S. military's gang stalking and Ontario police come and molest with impossible light after the people of the state are stalking, obsessing over me, wanting to be in my space, and then are hostile because I document you being that much of an obsessed stalker. And all they did was add the Ontario police who have a gun and a flashlight to commit what is molestation. That's a hostile demon. Okay? The demons don't like when I call them what they are, stalkers, when I call them what they are, special needs, when I call them what they are, sex offenders, and then they are engaging what is, that was an iteration, a type of criminal summoning, if you will. Okay? He just walks down, no vehicle, no nothing. He just walks down because he wants to flash me with light. He's not looking for anything. This is surveillance. And you're looking at the military stalking in a commercial plane. There's no flights over here. There's no takeoff. That's blatant stalking. And you're looking at the gang membership that are the Ontario police, the city police. This is the P.O.C. with regard to any city. The police are stalking with that population, and they do so pursuant to the U.S. government's pattern of conduct. That is in this video, like I'm showing you before. Ontario police stalking, talking to somebody else. Military stalking in planes. The police stalking, coming in over here and harassing me as though they have authority under the law. The police are stalking while the military are stalking in planes. It's the same template. They're going to prison. Okay, that was the entity that's engaging in psychopathic pacing together in concert with the people. The homeless demons that are gang stalking at the laundromat, at the fake churches, they're going to prison as I'm documenting them. They're going from sleeping outside to sleeping in federal cells. This is the P.O.C. Alrighty, this is the military that is engaged in stalking with the gang members of the Ontario police and the people of the state. This is the fake moon that they're flying over. They're flying higher than the moon. That's what you just saw right there. They're doing so while the military are showing you the gang members that are the Ontario police, which you've already known that. This is tying that case together with regard to the pattern of conduct. There are no flights coming from the airport here, and the Ontario police are blatantly engaging in conspicuous surveillance. That was a demon that engaged in what is stalking with light, which is psychologically torturous behavior while they're monitoring in furtherance of murder with the military who are in that previous video stalking together. The military do a U-turn right here. There's also no passengers on that plane making U-turns, and there's no passenger on this plane where this entity has still not conducted a takeoff. And you are also stalking as the mentally ill show themselves to be that while they keep a fake sun and a fake moon over me. And the demons in that plane that has no passengers on it and is not headed to a destination and did not engage in what is taking off from the airport as though they're headed to a destination, just flew higher than the fake moon. Okay, this is the P.O.C. The gang members that you just saw engaging in what is harassment on behalf of the demons that are obsessed with me. They are looking for my attention. The entity engaged in stalking by helicopter again today. I did not capture video of it because I don't need it. They're already convicted. This entity is obsessed with me. The homosexuals of the U.S. military are obsessed with me. Their obsession is not because there's been a relationship with them or because they've ever experienced how good of a kisser I am or because I've ever had any sexual contact. It's because they are obsessed with my physical body. They watch me on cameras. They keep me under surveillance. They've been putting me on the internet. They've been sex trafficking me, but it is because they're demons. Okay? This is psychopathic pacing while another plane. You know who's going to prison, right? The demons that are going to produce the identity of the white male of the Ontario police and the gang members that are homeless gang stalking. And these are demon possessed people. That's why they're obsessed. This is literally the evidence, in other words, of mental illness. This is the P.O.C. And there's another plane that's at a higher elevation. This has nothing to do with the airport and the operation of the airport. Just like I was documenting at the ARCO gas station, where the demons were flying on the opposite side of this library, stalking me while that fake sun remained over me all day long, and how Joy of the Up and Public Library is stalking me with the military, which is her criminal engagement in a conspiracy to commit murder. Just like the Ontario police engaged in a pattern of conduct, conspiring my murder while stalking, monitoring as an agency, molesting me with light, while they are in the specific environment accomplishing what is monitoring. Monitoring is a federal offense pursuant to inhumane means of surveillance designed to murder and kidnap, which is why the military are stalking. They're highly unintelligent, and they're engaging in what is obsessing with me because this is the Nephilim, because they're not humans, they're demons. That's why, okay? That's the P.O.C. The entity's been begging me for attention all day. This is directly relevant to what I just documented. I am not exaggerating. I don't have to make up people following me around. It's not a compliment either. These are mentally ill, demon-possessed people. They are seeking my attention, even as I have already completed prosecuting them. That is proving the unprovable, if you will, that which everyone thought was impossible, that you could ever prosecute or prove that the government engages in this against anyone, because it's been happening for decades and people are scared to speak of it because they don't want to be written off as crazy. That is a ridiculous idea, and I've just proven that through the pattern of conduct, and I thoroughly prosecuted the government, the system, the people of the state, and they are obsessed with me because of that. These are demons. They are mentally ill. They literally want to sit here because this is where I sleep. They want to be here because this is where I'm at. They want to be near me. They're obsessing over me. And how an entity also does that, and they call themselves disguising it, is by coming around and harassing me. They want to be near me. They're obsessed with me. Stalking in planes. Doing so in the midst of the documentation. Ontario police officers are going to prison. They're obsessed, and they show that evidence. They give that evidence gratuitously anyway. The demons of the U.S. military and like I said, they are Osama bin Laden's, the superiors over the Army, over the Air Force, over the Marines. They're going to prison. This is the entity engaged in that. This has absolutely nothing, and it's a judicially noticed fact, in other words, that the entity is stalking right now and using the planes associated with the Ontario International Airport. There are no passengers on those planes. They are not headed to a destination, and they have not taken off from the airport flying west and hovering over the city hall. All right, in the specific environment. This entity is engaging in stalking as a group, a whole team of them, taking shifts one after another, using props like strollers and dogs. And these demons just sitting here because they are, oh, it's about that time. She's packing up she's getting ready to go to sleep. So I just want to go sit where she's going to be sleeping at, just to be around me. That's harassment, okay? And it's also a threat. To be that obsessed for no reason whatsoever. That's a threat, and it's the government, it's state action. It's a threat because of the actor. And that actor is giving you direct confirmation while they're stalking in the planes right here. This is the prosecution of the airline industry, the ongoing evidence, and the entity stalking by helicopter today, doing so for a prolonged period, begging me for attention. I don't even capture it on video. Why? Because I don't need it. These demons are desperate, and they're engaging in providing evidence which is going to have them being committed. This is the P.O.C. Alrighty, this is the U.S. military. This is the suicidal behavior. What you need to know about those that are engaged in this pattern of conduct. And I am speaking to an entity that is severely mentally ill, and also with regard to what is a threat. The Ontario police that just engaged in a documented act of stalking, they are very highly suicidal, and it is unsafe for them to be in the positions that they are, to carry weapons, to be conducting themselves as though they have authority under the law when they are engaging in the pattern of conduct, and they are doing so conspicuously. This is the entity that is confirming what I just stated, that they were stalking by helicopter. They are stalking by helicopter, and they're doing so admittedly. And the entity is doing this on behalf of celebrities who are going to prison, having the Ontario police and the U.S. military on their payroll with regard to targeting me, as though that was going to silence me from telling you that those that have been gang stalking me are a part of the celebrity culture that you are paying money and that you are watching on television and listening and watching them accept awards, okay? Celebrities such as Beyonce and Jay-Z, celebrities such as P. Diddy, celebrities that are anticipating being federally prosecuted for gang stalking me with the gang stalking police departments, okay? They are demons, and they're engaged in this pattern of conduct, and they have compensated the military. The military is engaged in targeting me with a whole bunch of brokies that are acting as agents. Okay? Agents with regard to being nothing other than zombies with nothing to lose. They're gang stalkers, they're demons. Now, I'm naming celebrities. There are much more than Beyonce and Jay-Z who know who I am, even though I don't know them, who are familiar with my vagina, even though I have not had sex with them and I have not been in it, but they are engaged in sex trafficking. They're engaged in what is seeking to steal and defame my character. They're engaged in this very criminal activity that the military is showing you and that the Ontario Police Department are showing you. The pattern of conduct is fully underway. They're targeting me in Los Angeles, where LAPD is doing the exact same thing with the U.S. military. Okay, I am not speaking to what is anything that are merely rumors. These are celebrities and many more that are actors, singers, and rappers that are engaging in what is gang stalking me, as the entity has targeted me, and I am the first to speak of it. But I'm not the first that these celebrities have targeted. These celebrities are demons. This is the P.O.C, and this is what the government is speaking to. This is what the government is causing, that these celebrities are going to be identified by name. But they're going to be identified and they're going to be prosecuted. They're going to prison. Because this is not hearsay. This is not rumors. These are facts. Okay? They're going to prison because of what I'm documenting right now. So in case you did not understand, let me point something out. What Tracy Banks, my fake mother, is doing with those that went in court, that perjured themselves by criminally defaming my character in a corrupt gang stalking courtroom, while they are all demons gang stalking under the fake sun. They are doing so in concert with those that are interested in my demise that are gang stalking me. I want to be clear. The celebrities in the state of California are engaging in the pattern of conduct. Do you understand how? Because the fake sun remains over me while they are sharing in that P.O.C. And there are also literal facts surrounding their engagement and what is monies and property and assets that have been stolen, that have been paid to corrupt officials that are engaging in what is targeting me, that have agreed to target me. The entities engaged in that pattern of conduct, I have already shown you, though, through literally the environment. I've proven what the federal government is going to produce as a matter of what are detailed factual evidence relating what celebrities have been paying to target me, specifically Erica Lorraine Spencer. But I already told you, because I said when you have a fake son, this is the evidence of surveillance, meaning I don't have to talk to Kim Kardashian to know that she's monitoring me. Do you understand that? All right, these are demons that are monitoring in California, and these are demons that are doing so. This level of desperation, this level of admitting that you're gang stalking, you also need to understand that they're severely suicidal. Because they are anticipating going to prison, they're anticipating being discharged, they're anticipating public humiliation. And you need to know that celebrities have compensated these demons to engage in this, and they're going to prison for it. And they're also not going to get out. You're also going to witness the public demise. These celebrities are going broke, and it's because they've been practicing in witchcraft, and they lost in what was a bad bet in the first place, that you could ever contend with the child of God. And this is just foolishness. This is just handing over a federal case to me. This is not witchcraft. This is blatant, clear guilt that no military tribunal is going to disagree with me concerning at all. But you need to know that it's related to politicians that are targeting me more than just Paul Leon. Remember, City Hall's right here. And they forget about that tomorrow. They forget about that. Paul Leon is right here. This is the entity that's engaging in that. And you have down to the brokies that want to just be in my space, be in the air that I breathe. And it's related to politicians, people outside of the state of California, people outside of this country that are engaged in trafficking children, kidnapping them, stealing from them, murdering them, consuming their bodily fluids, consuming and eating their flesh, because they're not human. This is related to what celebrities are engaging in, and this is going on the internet because it's related to what is factual information and an ongoing pending criminal case, which the facts of which you are going to learn. And it's all related to the entity that's stalking me like this sort of absurd, obviously criminal conduct is what a government is doing on a daily basis, because everything I just told you is they're facts. That's why they're stalking so heavily, and it's to their own demise. Okay? Demons like Missy Elliott, engaging in what is targeting me, knowing who I am, engaged in and interested and invested in my murder, my being kidnapped, my being defamed, so that this entity can steal money and property and my identity. And these are demons, delusional things that you could steal my spiritual gifts, and that's just related to the witchcraft conduct. But all this witchcraft, this witchery, this hoodoo voodoo nonsense, that's going toward what's going to be commitments. Okay, you're going to be subject to what is being involuntarily committed, while you thought that engaging in criminal activity was going to result and that it should be related. Your reckless sexual activity, how many of them have incurable STDs? Like I said, I'm speaking facts, And I have not slept with any of these celebrities. But this is the criminal system that they're engaged in. And stalking me in helicopters is not going to help you. It's going to have you specifically identified in the P.O.C. I told you to stop. This is the pattern of conduct. It is currently 10:22 p.m. You can rewind the tape back and listen to it because the names that I said are factual. All right, this is the entity that is targeting me, and they targeted me in furtherance of murder. And they include celebrities that are in the state of California, by the way, as well. They're in the state of California. There's no sun that's going to remain over one building all day long. That's how you know that Kim Kardashian is a gang stalker. That's how you know that Beyonce and Jay-Z, who also are domiciled in California, those are demons. And they're gang stalking, and they've been targeting me. And this is also supported by factual evidence that you will learn more about. But I'm going to let you know who the demons are. I'm going to let you know who is paying the demons, incentivizing them stalking me in planes and helicopters. Meaning these are celebrities who are actually terrorists. They're not celebrities, and these are demons. These are the Nephilim that you've been idolizing. And I'm prosecuting them. Them and many more. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 10:23 p.m. It is 10:44 p.m. The vagina monitors are still stalking by helicopter. And they're stalking me. Like I stated in the video, this is a suicidal population. And that suicidal tendency that the demons that are gang stalking me have, it is not based on status. So even the gang stalking demons that are currently sitting in office, the gang stalking demons that are the heads of multi-million, billion-dollar companies, the gang stalking demons that are celebrities disguising themselves, that's the Nephilim disguising themselves as celebrities, they are equally suicidal. One, you're listening to one of them stalking in a helicopter. These are demons that do not have an actual purpose to exist. And they survive off of the sacrifices of others, particularly the children of God. Now, when that is over and it's exposed and it's being prosecuted, you're watching that maniacal psychopath show itself. And it is an entity. It's a population. And it's exceedingly psychopathic, stalking me. And while it's stalking, what you are thinking about is how much money the Nephilim are spending on stalking me. It's a multi-million-dollar investment that those around the globe have contributed to with regard to murdering little old me. And I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to prosecute. I'm prosecuting now. And I'm also going to specifically give you names of demons that are under no circumstances human beings who are, for example, stalking in the military, stalking in law enforcement, stalking as celebrities, conditioning your mind, selling you witchcraft, selling you Satanism, and selling you what is the sinful lifestyle in order that you would be under control, witchcraft, spell work that they are administering to you while they entertain you. And they also target you unbeknownst to you. Okay, this is an entity that consumes babies. They consume children. They kidnap children. They traffic them. They have sex with them. That's what the allegations against these gang stalking celebrities include as well. Celebrities that are paying the demons that have exposed them by gang stalking me, because that's all that you did. By paying them to stalk in this manner, is this the sloppy work that you paid for? Because you're going to prison behind it. This is beyond stupid. You're going to prison behind this. This is the P.O.C. It's 10:47 p.m. This is mentally ill behavior. This is the entity that's going to be involuntarily committed. This is the entity that is gang stalking as one. I am documenting, as I said at the outset, no matter whether, regardless of whether your mind can actually understand and comprehend everything that I am dictating with regard to the size of evidence that I have. I am in the state of California, This is an entity, a public entity that is acting as a population, and it is proven through the criminal conduct of the United States government that is chiefly stalking in the manners in which I laid out at the outset of this investigation. The hallmarks: stalking in planes and helicopters, that's the U.S. government, and in the specific environment, which is a matter of judicial notice, where the fake sun remains over me from sunrise until sunset. And at nightfall, also the fake moon. That is the evidence that surrounds an entire population, the entire state. And in that state, which is California, which is where I'm at, I'm documenting the governor. I'm documenting every mayor. I'm documenting every police department. I'm documenting the sheriff's departments. I'm documenting every neighborhood, the entire state. How? Because in the environment, it is proof that I am being targeted by an entire entity, which is supported by my evidence when I go to any city in the state. When I go outside of the state to the neighboring state, Nevada, the pattern of conduct is ceaselessly underway. That is a supernatural phenomenon, which is surrounding the entity that is stalking in conformity to a very clear and concise pattern of conduct where there are no exceptions, there are no anomalies. And the pattern of conduct is documentation, tangible evidence provided over a series of years, where, by the way, celebrities have been gang stalking and monitoring my vagina for years. Okay? The entity has been stealing money, stealing my identity, engaging what is sex trafficking me on the internet, engaging in their sex rituals. I don't know, you ever heard of a thing called a freak off? Those are sex rituals. That's witchcraft. And the entity was committing crimes. Yes, those freak offs, that's the entity. The entity is engaging in criminal activity while they are in this environment, and for a prolonged term of years, while they were having freak offs, I was capturing the pattern of conduct. And the entity is surrounded with evidence, which is speaking to a population that is targeting while you hear helicopter activity, which is signifying the absence of anything other than psychopathic pacing, meaning the helicopter's not going anywhere. Just like the fake sun, it doesn't go anywhere. It remains over me. This is the entity that is being prosecuted as one, the inferior race, Satan and all of his minions, who are surrounded with tangible evidence regarding their mental illness, where they thought that they were engaging in witchcraft, making them magical such that no one would see them, and you all see them. That's the purpose of the P.O.C. That's the entity that's providing evidence against itself. That's the entity that has been compensated by celebrities and politicians and those that are across the globe. And these demons are never going to cash any check from any terrorist that is paying the military and the gang stalkers of the state of California to keep me under surveillance and gang stalk me. They're not receiving any money. They're going to prison. And the entity actually is going to compensate me. And the people of the state includes celebrities. The people of the state includes those that are in an official capacity holding office in law enforcement. That's just the people of the state that wear uniforms and bear titles. The entity is going to compensate the targeted individual. The entity is going to be subject to martial law. The entity is going to be subject to involuntary commitments. The entity is going to federal prison. This is P.O.C. It's 10:51 p.m. I'm going to have you listen to the ongoing chorus regarding the entity's admission to gang stalking me, as I stated at the outset in 2018. This is an entity that is being documented all as one. And this is justice because this is how an entity is engaging in levying war against innocent American citizens who do not have a voice, who do not have any evidence to put multi-million-dollar politicians and company owners and celebrities who are targeting them. And they don't have any way to prove it. It's the Nephilim. And by the way, they're not elite. They're feces consumers. They're sex offenders that are engaged in things such as vagina monitoring, while they present to you what is a package that's supposed to make you lust after their lifestyle, lust after what it is that they say and do is worthy of your attention, and trying to appear normal by marrying and having kids. They're creatures, they're dogs dressed up in meat suits, and they're engaged in obsessing over those that they are keeping under surveillance, and they're interested in doing so. And how do these celebrities know about me when I have never met them, etc.? It's because this is ongoing surveillance. This is speaking to a network that's engaging in what is targeting, and they target, celebrities are targeting, politicians are targeting, and further into murder. These are serial killers. That's the reality. These are child traffickers. These are rapists, sex offenders, psychopaths that you've been celebrating. And the Lord God wants you to know that it is time that you stop worshiping Satan and that you see Satan for exactly who he is. It's currently stalking me in a helicopter, and that's because I'm telling you the absolute truth. This is P.O.C. It is currently 10:53 p.m. And this is indeed the documentation of an entire population that does not have a responsive defense. It does not have a constitutionally relevant defense. You don't have a constitutional defense, and you do not have any sort of excuse, such as you never met the targeted individual, therefore you're not guilty of criminal surveillance, gang stalking me. You're already surrounded with evidence, and I don't even have to meet you. And that is the backfire of the demon-possessed engaging in what is a satanic surveillance system, where literally that supernatural feature, that same pattern of conduct, which is a matter of tangible evidence, is serving to prosecute you, all of you, simultaneously, all of you who are not elite at all. And you never were. In fact, there's nothing elite about stealing and raping and lying and cheating. It makes you criminals. It makes you cheaters. It makes you glorified rapists and sex offenders and stalkers. That's what you are. You pay people to stalk on your behalf. And the Lord God is not going to permit you to hide your identity, that true nature. He's not permitting that anymore. And that's also why you're being identified in this evidence. That is the P.O.C. This is the court. I just want to be clear. This is not merely social media where I'm just talking about for funsies, BBLs and weaves and all that. This is evidence. You are being identified specifically, just like any other license plate that I'm documenting. You are being documented with regard to the pattern of conduct. Moreover, you are being federally prosecuted for that which you have financed. And that is also supported with hard evidence that the feds already have. This is the P.O.C. It's 10:55 p.m.